I got SGF Graham.
What's up?
Peace, peace.
I got Jews B.
Tuesday, how are
Some
you?
love, family. What's going on?
And then I got DDH's icon. So peace and love, everybody. We're trying out the podcast equipment for the first time. So bear with me. I don't know what happened. I don't think the microphone is working now or something, but the headphones are. So it is what it is. Because right when the intro played, all of a sudden it started like going. But it is what it is. I'm
Freaking
learning.
technology.
But anyway, so tonight, first and foremost, I want to say SGF Graham, thank you and welcome to the family.
Peace, appreciate you.
So tonight we're going to talk about hurt people. So Henry, what do you think of that?
I think a lot of it. I think there's a lot of merit to be said with that. Even we kind of objectively look at people as bad, or it's really hard to find maybe just a wholly evil person. Most people like that probably went through a whole lot of stuff to form them into that. And I think we're going to explore a lot of that in today's episode.
Yeah. So SGF Graham, what do you think of hurt people?
Oh.
Your mic. What do you think?
No audio.
No, that's all right. You gotta unmute yourself. Oh, all right.
All right, sorry about that.
That's all right.
It's one of the truest statements. As somebody that went through hurt younger ages, it was when I got to my older ages, looking back at my life, trying to understand why I did certain reactions to people, and I realized it was just me giving out what I got. It wasn't rhyme or reason to it other than some monkey see, monkey do type thing.
I
It
feel
happened
that.
to me, so why not happen to somebody else?
Self-directed.
Jews be hurt people.
Yep.
For sure. I think it gives validity to the statement. Pretty much to the point where a lot of times people take on certain things or make certain obligations for themselves when they haven't fully healed or they haven't fully explored their limitations or really done the work on themselves before trying to put themselves back out into the world in some way, shape, or form. So it's kind of that's kind of the duality of it. When you don't spend enough time with yourself, you don't spend enough time trying to better yourself. You don't have much to offer anybody else.
I can feel that too. So now my analogy of hurt people. I'm gonna go deeper. I'm gonna go back to our parents. When they were raised, and a lot of us parents were raised differently than us. The time was different. It was a different time. And when they were younger and they went through things and they're still living in that trauma state, they're doing the best they possibly can. But when you're fucked up, and you're gonna fuck up people, not on purpose. It's just the fact of you don't know no better. So they're dealing with a bunch, and yet they're trying to be parents and wing it and figure this out on their own. And a lot of them don't have the proper tools to handle emotions and certain things. A lot of parents don't have that capability to realize that you too are somebody and that you too have feelings and you too are going through things. And let me be nice and kind and mindful that you have feelings and I might hurt them. They will say random things. I know a lot of parents that have told their children that they were a mistake or that they wish they weren't born or that they regret having them or that they've been a burden to them their whole life. And even though we all signed this contract to come up to this world and to deal with this, we chose that parent before we came here for a reason. Until they learn how to heal themselves and do their shadow work and heal their inner child from what their parents done to them, they're going to continue passing that what is it, a generational curse. They're going to continue putting the cycle on until they learn how to break it. And when it comes down to it, people in this world will say things and they will judge you off of how they see things without walking in your shoes and seeing what you've been through. And I was talking to DDH earlier about it, and I was like, Eminem did it best when he told everybody his story. He told everybody what they could think of him, so that when it come to the beat battle, or not beat battle, but the rap battle, they couldn't break him down because he gave everything. What can you tell me about me that I haven't already told you? And that's basically what it is, because people will use anything against you because they're miserable within themselves. And a lot of times it's reflecting. They reflect. Instead of dealing with it, they rather pass it on to you and say, this is why I'm doing it.
That's what misery loves company. That's
the hurt people. So DDH said, I think it's unpressed. What do you say? Unpressed pain, and also
I think it's unprocessed pain. Also, sometimes people who have been hurt often haven't fully processed their emotions, leading to a buildup of negativity that can spill over into their interactions with others at times.
Yeah. Facts. So I'm going to use something for example. A lot of different people wanted me to be in their life in one way or another, and because I chose not to, and I chose myself and to fix me, they decided to paint this scenario about me and say, oh, this is why someone cares about you, because you must be this type of person. Like, they called me a witch. Someone called me a witch, and then they said that I put spells on people, and that's the only reason why people love me, is because I'm putting spells on them. And
that's the kind of thinking that gets someone burned.
Well, I'm not mad by that, because I'm looking deeper into it. I'm not judging them off of what they said. I'm judging them off of why they said it, because they're traumatized. They're dealing with some insecurities or some kind of unhealed trauma within themselves. Most people that judge, look at their house, look at their background, look at what they're dealing with. Because if you were happy and you truly loved yourself, you're not going to talk about another individual. Do you agree with that, SGF Graham?
On the flip side, what I was thinking when you were saying that, when they perceive things like that of me, I take it as an accomplishment that I'm at a realm that you can't perceive. Like,
Yeah.
I've made it my goal the last 2 years to see everything with the cup half full. Even if I get ticked off at the beginning, the end mission is half full. I just got to see it, and that's how I look at it. When they start saying, "Oh, you do witchcraft and blah 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 blah," I'm like, I'm at a realm you can't perceive. Thank you for affirming it.
Facts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see no need to meet that negative energy in anywhere that's comfortable for them. Because at the end of the day, if you want to pass judgment upon me, that means you're insecure with yourself, or you have something you have to deal with within you. So, Jewsby, what do you think of that?
Let Jewsby
go. In theory, like you said, sometimes people project, the pain that they deal with, and in turn, it causes others pain. I feel like also, even speaking on that matter, the the health of your mental rather is very important.
Mm-hmm.
So You know, I always preach, you know, keeping your mental house clean for these exact reasons, so you don't look to, you know, outside entities or other you know, other avenues to, you know, to fill certain voids in your life. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
If you take the time to, you know, prioritize these things and, you know, really sort through what it is that you deal with on a daily basis, what causes you pain, you know, what brings you joy, the positives and the negatives of your life. You sort through these things, it, you know, it restores the power that you feel like you've lost, and you know, you don't cling to, you know, different vices or you know, people for that matter, as much as you would, you know, if you weren't doing the work and, you know, you weren't trying to make sure that mentally you were fit, you know, to handle these certain situations.
Facts. Facts. And I didn't know let affect me in any type of way because it wasn't the agreement wasn't mine. It didn't resonate with me. So like when we mirror each other, because we're all connected and we intend to mirror each other, like SGF Graham says, I'm on a different frequency than them. So if that's what they see, then maybe that's what they see within themselves. Because at the end of the day, I can't resonate with that. I don't relate to that. So it didn't bother me. Usually people when they get triggered by something, that's because some part of it may be true. Maybe they feel like something that someone else said had touched a subject that they're already dealing with. Do you receive that, Henry?
I do actually. You know, I'm thinking here. I'm sitting thinking. There's types of people, I believe, who are attractive, and I don't mean like sexual or anything. I mean like if you're kind of a free thinking, forward thinking person who doesn't particularly like the status quo isn't exactly attractive. You know, it's nice to
Yeah.
think outside the box. It's why we kind of revel in art and artists and artistry and certain things that are different than that. Now, being that, maybe you are a type of person who's very a muse-like. You know, you attract people. They want to talk to you. They want your time and everything. And I believe that sometimes a presence can get really big, and it gets to the point where you can't please everybody, and people will get mad at you and look at you in kind of a negative light because you need space or you need to put up boundaries and shit. And I think that can be a strange situation to be put in for somebody because yeah, just because you think different and it attracts people to you, you can attract all types of things, you know, and unique people, damaged, hurt people, especially might end up gravitating towards you to
Mm-hmm.
just kind of want to just be part of your aura because you're different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Kind of
And
weird.
and I prefer to see everything with rose-colored glasses, rainbows and butterflies. It's because positive energy gets you where you gotta go. Even in negative situations, I can't see negative in it because I've healed from that state. So if you haven't healed from that state, that's the first thing you're gonna think.
That
First
half
thing
full
you're gonna
thinking.
think, yeah. Like as Jeff Graham said, it's that negative. It's that if I resonate with what you said, then maybe that's what I think within myself. You know what I'm saying? So like, hey Jasmine Gray, peace and love, Queen, peace and love. What do you think about hurt people, Jasmine?
Yes.
And
She'll have something to say.
yeah, for sure. And I, like I said, I didn't give it an extra energy because I don't have time for that. I really honestly don't. Tomorrow's not promised to no one, and if I can't fill it with love, then I can't fill it with anything. So I just remove myself from it. I say, may your day be full of positive energy and high vibrations, peace and love, and I let myself go on my merry old way because it didn't affect me. It's a fact of life. It is. It is. And I know we need that duality and we need that balance of good and evil. We have to have that. For me, though, I'm transcending to the new world. And while I'm transcending to the new world, it's going to be love all the time. All the time. There's always a reason why something happened. What's this say, Henry?
Oh, hold on. I had to get my dad off of the bus. We have Robin to plug. I always try to approach every situation with a positive and productive attitude.
Period.
Yes, that's a skill.
Period. I don't know no other way.
self-destruct, cause the situation to get even worse.
That's not of me, though.
Oh, I'm just giving options.
Right. But if it's not of you, you don't know how to relate to it, so you don't do it. A lot
You know
of
what really
these,
hurts?
huh?
You know what really hurts, Kimberly, is realizing that you are the epicenter of some of this stuff. Not necessarily you, just you in general. If you've had any trauma or past traumas and stuff, it's guaranteed that you probably don't know how to respond to certain situations right off rip. Maybe you practice yourself up to that point, but you can always be the person who's hurting and hurting other
Mhm.
people. It doesn't make you a bad person, but it sucks when you figure it out a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah. I think once you spend time with yourself, because you have to get inside yourself in order to get out of yourself. So once you spend time with yourself, you could actually see that maybe you are, I don't want to say problem, but maybe you are the source. Maybe you are the key carrier that, why a situation is the way it is. Maybe the key component. It may be you. And not realizing it, that at the end of the day, what's it say?
Oh, Jasmine Gray says it's human nature to seek understanding and companionship. Happy people share their joy, just as unhealed people share trauma. We want people
Ex-
to know how we feel and why.
exactly.
Yes. Sometimes we have a
Exactly.
hard time guessing that.
hmm Like I said, I probably wouldn't be really good at a lawyer or a judge when it had to be passing judgment upon someone, because I will try to find the reason why for everything. Like, oh, I know he murdered a bunch of people, but this is why he did it. Like, there's a
Yeah.
reason it happened.
You have to have a
Why?
certain moral fortitude.
Yeah, I'd be like, this is probably why it happened. So let's dig deeper in and try to fix the situation. Because someone come to me and they said to me, now they weren't saying that there wasn't a higher power or not whatnot, but they said, if let's say we are children of the Most High, how many times would you let your children do something before you step in and say, okay, now that's enough? And I said, but that's enabling almost. Like, they're not going to learn by you stepping in and saying, now that's enough. A lot of people have to grow through something in order to grow. So they have to be able to handle it and deal with it to know how to handle it and deal with it. And I was like, you can only say, hey, don't touch that for so long, because if they want to touch it, they're going to touch it. And he's like, but they were saying, like, why, there's people out here killing babies, raping babies, like hurting babies. Everything happens for a reason, even the shitty stuff. I can't make sense of it, but I don't ask why, because it's not my job.
That's
My
why
job.
collective mental health is important. That's why it's good to try and look at demographics, because these hurt people that hurt people continue hurting people, like you said, cyclically for generations, and the trauma
Until the
keeps getting
cycle
passed down
breaks. Yeah.
and passed down. It's terrible, because it puts people in a space of irrevocable fuck up. Where
Mm-hmm.
you've been hurt so many times that you do something that's irredeemable, to say the
Oh,
least. And
what Jasmine say?
Jasmine says some situations just are, though. There's no fixing, only a
Mm-hmm.
lesson to help prevent further damage. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. If we
Mm-hmm.
collectively can work on demographics of people and put mental health, which I believe a lot of people are trying to do, into the forefront of society, it's going to make everything better. Everything heals after that.
Mm-hmm. 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 And
And it
I
doesn't
said,
break that.
and I said the same thing about my relationship with my own child, or it's not a child, my own person that I contributed to being here, my purpose. I said the same thing. I was like, I can't meet my purpose in the state unhealed, because they're not willing to do that healing. I know I probably could have done better, but at 17 and given what I was given, I did what I thought I should do, and that's removing that person from anything that hurt me when I was younger.
Yeah.
I didn't complete that cycle. I had a choice. I had a choice to either keep the generational curse going on and continue that cycle of, I don't want to call it bad behavior, but it's like a comfort numb thing. I had a choice to either continue that cycle of what I was known and what happened to me, or to remove the situation and do better. And that's what I chose. Now, along this journey of me doing better, I was trying to also fill a void within me because I didn't know that I had to heal. So I thought filling the void was having different men come into my life, because being an addict, that's what filled my void, was sex. I used that to fill the void within me until I learned how to take care of me and love me properly and see me for what I am, to not have a void no more. Some people do substance abuse. Some people do drinking. When you are trying to put a Band-Aid over a bullet hole, we go to whatever we know. And to me, sex was a huge thing in my house. Just huge. It was huge. It was always talked about. It was my sisters were sisters of mine from products of threesomes. You know what I'm saying? It was not shied on. So like, my own mom tried touching me. So like, sex really was it in my house. So that's what I was known for. I knew that, well, we all sleep together. Everybody shared everybody. Like, it's not a big deal. It was never sacred. And it was never one of those things that we hushed about. It was just open. What did Robin say?
We got Robin to plug. I think father figures are a big part of acting correctly. A lot of young men don't get a good role model. Yeah.
Facts. And now my son has thinks all women are alcoholics and doesn't like women sometimes, but loves women. So I wasn't alcoholic. I did have moments where I did drink because I enabled somebody, and I had a best friend for 9 years and we partied. And that was it. I didn't get to the point where I was drinking every single day and felt I needed it, but I did a lot that I shouldn't have, because I was filling a void within myself, not knowing that I had inner child things I had to heal. When we don't get the tools aren't given to us. We don't know we have them. We don't know there is tools. We don't know we need them because they're not shown to us. Can you receive that, SGF Graham?
I definitely can.
Yeah, so like, how do you deal with a situation when you want to be better and different for your children?
Me, I
Yeah.
get antisocial. Well, I deal with me. Well, and the more I deal with me, it's almost like the more things become better for them. I guess the age thing of knowing thyself.
Yeah. Do you feel that you made mistakes? I don't want to call them mistakes, but do you feel that you had things that you triumphed over to be better now?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. It took me moving away from homeland and rebuilding, putting myself out there to where I had no choice but to grow. Didn't have certain crutches to lean on. It took me. It was a rebuild, but it was the best thing that happened. I'll never take it back.
Facts. So Henry don't have children, and Jews be dipped, and he don't have children neither. And it's different though. Like, what did she say? That hit
Jasmine
of go ahead.
that hit of serotonin. Yeah, we got to release it somehow. You know, no, I'm not. I'm never ever going to have children. You know,
That's okay. That's not what I was doing. I was just asking, like, to break that generational curse. You breaking the generational curse, one, by changing who you are, and two, you're not having children by choice. So you're not able to pass that on to another individual.
No, there's something I could say on top of that too. Another thing Robin DePlug said was father figures, nuclear families,
Mm-hmm.
it's not always going to happen either. And I'm not going to have children. Now that's different. That doesn't mean I don't like talking to groups of people and imparting knowledge. I run into kids. The first thing I do is I pull my keys out and they have a tape measure on them, and I show them, hey, these are eighths, halves, quarters, inches. Just an explanation thing. You can impart knowledge, especially about addiction and whatnot.
Yeah.
Role models is a very important thing in there. Role models.
Yeah.
My mother wasn't a very good role model. My mother taught me how to drink. She taught me how to play guitar, but there was a lot of bad stuff in between there. My father did the best he could. Strange situation, but it's very important to have role models, and it's comes from all sectors too. And then once again, we get more people talking about it and teaching. And if it just doesn't end up having kids. We got to teach morals and values. It should be commonplace.
I think that honestly, though, if I could, I don't want to change nothing about anything that happened. I think everybody should vet before they get involved into a situation and learn about the other individual. And if you make that choice and that commitment to exchange energy, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. And if it is to produce and have children, then promise to not have to stay together, but promise to do it together and stand by that. Like, mean that, or don't sleep with the person. My mom was the runner. My dad stayed. But my dad told me, and this is how I knew my dad needed to heal. My dad told me that women have to put up with things with men sometimes to make them happy and do things to appease them. And that's just it. That's just how that's just what women have to do. So my dad probably shouldn't have raised two girls.
No one has to put up with anything.
My sister married at 15 and now is agoraphobia. She doesn't like people. She don't go outside. She was able to be blessed to adopt a child who now she is getting the child to be just like her. And also now the child's going to have a whole bunch of healing of her inner child because they allowed my sister to adopt her. And at the present moment, my sister, I thought, would have been the best mom ever because, like, she just had it in her to be the best mom. Yet, she chose not to heal. She chose to make her childhood become her adulthood and use that as a crutch and an excuse to why she is the way she is. And I don't think that was fair to that child that she adopted. But here nor there, that's not my place to say because at the end of the day, I'm not the judge. Everything happens for a reason, even the shitty stuff. I just think when you decide that you are going to exchange energy that way with another individual, do it for the right reasons.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
Commitment, getting into relationships.
I'm not saying marriage and commitment and all that shit. I'm not one of those. That's not what I'm saying.
I'm saying that these are huge commitments, and there is a large percentage of marriages that actually fail. Life is short, but it's also long. And it's not too short that we can't put some more time into thinking these things through. I've been there. I've done that. I've seen things fail, and it's because of impulsivity. Being impulsive, and we really do rush into things, and we don't think about it. But we entangle each other into these things. We trauma bond with each other.
Yeah,
and we don't pay attention.
I'm not into the whole government rules and whatnot of marriage and all that. None of that makes sense to me. So I'm not saying that's the case. I'm saying make that promise to yourself that if you do have a child, don't dip out on that child because you chose to have that child, even if it was a one night thing. Everybody knows from sex ed when we were young that that's what you do when you have sex. You have that chance of having a child. That's just it. Unless you use protection and choose not to have a child. But if you do have a child, don't dip on it, mom or dad. Take responsibility for what you created.
These things happen. I know people who have split up, couples who have split up who have had kids, and they work together famously.
That's what I said. That's what I said. Just don't dip on the child. I didn't say do anything with that lady or that man. Don't stay with them because of it. That's bullshit. But you don't gotta get married and all that stupid government shit. You don't gotta. That's retarded. None of that makes no sense. Like, I don't want this piece of paper that the government says that we own each other, or that we do whatever. I can't wrap my head around that stuff. I tried. It's just that's a whole nother story and a whole nother show. I'm just saying. But SGF Graham, what were you saying?
Oh nah, when you saying something about marriage, I was like, ain't no way I would
Yeah.
ever take that route again. But I will say that once the kids are in the system, really a lot of the times, whether it's the male or the female, that other one don't have no say so. They fully take advantage of the situation,
Yes.
and now they rely on some hope like, oh, when my child turn 18, I'll be able to tell them the truth.
Yeah.
But honestly, more than likely, even if the mom comes out or the father, whoever had custody, comes out and say, I ran them out your life, so many years go by, that they like, okay, yeah, dad, you suck for that, or mom, you suck for that, but
Facts.
I don't know the other one. So I forgive them, but there's also no room for growth because now I'm just not mad at you.
So this is what my son did because his dad wasn't a part of his life at 4.
Mm.
And that's because I wouldn't allow him to go there alone without supervised visitation because his dad's abusive. He was abusive to me. I didn't think he would be to his son. I don't know why, but I didn't. So when my son came home at 3 years old with both his knees skid because his dad pushed him because he wasn't getting in the car quick enough, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not taking that chance. If you want to see your child, it has to be supervised. Not by me, but anybody. Because I can't keep my eye on my child when he's in your hands. Because when he left, he didn't have both his knees skid. Because I'm not going to push him to rush him to get in the car. He's a child.
That don't teach anything.
So at the end of the day, I felt that he didn't have the patience to be around my son alone. So he didn't want to be around my son anyways. He dipped. So he moved to a whole other state. He didn't even try to have supervised visitations. He didn't want it. But I never told my son anything bad about his dad. I never told him his dad was abusive. I never told him that his dad did this to me, did that to me, because that wasn't my place. Because what his dad did to me doesn't mean that's how he is to him. And why would I pass that upon my child and make my child feel some type of way because I was hurting? I just couldn't wrap my head around that. So I never did. So now my son has a relationship with his dad because now that his dad came back into his life when he was 20 something and my son's 32, about to be 33, his dad came back into his life and now they have some form of relationship. Well, his dad ended up hitting his girl and my son found out and now my son is not letting his dad be around his son. And that's because I protected my son. So now my son knows that it's his obligation to protect his son until he finds out differently and sees differently. So it is what it is, you know. I didn't make him feel that way. I didn't tell him his dad was that way. He didn't even know his daddy used to hit me. I never once told him because it wasn't my place.
No, his dad's either going to learn or not learn, and then he's going to learn. And lessons aren't easy, are they?
Well, they're don't have to be repeated neither. Like at the end of the day, just because you got away with it doesn't mean you have to keep doing it. Eventually, you have to look in yourself and realize that you are judging you. Hopefully. What did Jasmine say?
Something pretty important, I'm assuming here. We got Jasmine Gray saying, listen, I have no biological children, but I ended up raising 3 kids because my godmother just abandoned them. They became too much work, and she quit. Crazy thing is they were adopted. She chose them, then quit. I just can't reconcile it. No, that doesn't make a lot of sense. You know,
No.
it's what a series of steps. And these are people's lives. I think people just forget. You know? Hell, puppies, cats, kids. These are not toys. They're biological organisms.
No. But I get it. Now that I'm older, I get it. I know that we signed up for this.
And bless you, Jasmine.
We wouldn't have learned that lesson with anybody else. We would not have learned what we have to learn today with anybody else in our lives. We chose those people to do what they done to us so that we can be who we're supposed to be. I'm okay with that now. When my mom did what she did, I don't hold it against her. I forgave her. She passed on now, but I forgave her anyhow. Because she knew not what she done. I chose to remove my son from her until my son got of age to be able to speak on his own. Like he was 13 when I brought him back around, because I wanted him to be able to defend himself and say, hey, this is going on. And this ain't right. Because I was old enough to say, hey, you're not supposed to be tossing your daughter like that. Something ain't right. So I wanted my son to have that same ability to be able to. And at the end of the day, we have choices. We have choices. Either we're going to stay sick and miserable and continue treating people any way we want to, or be mindful of ourselves and do better. That's it. Be better and do better. Or don't. And if you choose not to, then don't fuck up somebody else's life along the way. Stop having, if we have so many people have to do this healing of their inner child, the shadow work of making themselves feel better because of something that happened to them when they were younger. That's not cool. Protect our children, our inner child, while they are children still. What do you think, S. Jeff Graham?
I protect my kids with all my life. I might not like the situation around them, of what might have me and their mother might have went through, in the process of them growing, but I never not once took it out on them. I never even relayed to them how I felt about their mom, just for them to come back 17 and 18 years later and say exactly what I thought about their mom, like out of their own mouth, without no influence of how dad felt. In fact, they didn't even know dad for 8 years. So they didn't even have my influence. They came up with their own conclusion. My kids have built me. I wouldn't be as strong and have the drive that I have now if it wasn't for them. I'm not going to say I didn't have no motivation. I'm just saying maybe it wasn't enough motivation for me to go as hard. And now that I feel like I have something to leave, I have a goal. I have a goal to make sure that they're not I wasn't in a bad situation, but I want them to be in a better situation. Whatever. And like, that's my main goal. And other than that, the past me, maybe their mom could have got to me with their words or whatever, but they know when we talk now, I don't care how your day was. I'm not trying to be funny or whatever, but now I'm protecting myself or whatever. And so when you, oh, my day, how is sincere, how is Nas? Like I don't want to hear all that. Like, let's get to the point. They're at ages I can talk to them now. Where when it was younger, oh yeah, they were pawns in the game, and I had to play the game. I wanted to be the F you dad, because I saw that they had less stress than me. Just, they might have some I miss my kids turmoil every now and then, but they ran away from the stress of the other person by just saying F it all. Whatever, I personally couldn't do that because my biological gave up his rights to me, and like you said, killing generational curses. So I was gonna go through hell to make sure that they have a standard when they have kids, if they have kids, whatever. I wanted to set this new standard bar. Like, nah, I was there for y'all, and I went through hell, whatever. So y'all next goal is to make sure y'all get the woman you don't have to go through hell with. Like, each generation, we gonna kill it till we figure it, whatever. And that's just the goal for me.
Here's to you on that.
Appreciate you.
For real.
What Robin and Plug say?
Robin DePlug says it's a matter of acknowledging your flaws. It's more comfortable a lot of times to ignore them and continue damaging behavior. Maybe talk about how we can recognize it when we're being damaging to someone else. Man, Robin, that really hits me hard, because I got someone really in my life right now who I love a lot. I've loved them a long time, but they are totally dissociated, completely dissociated at this point, and they don't. It's a subconscious thing that's destroying them, and you see it all the time, and you get so deep buried in that kind of thinking, depression, dissociation, derealization, and then you just get hollow, your shell. And it's so important to acknowledge those things before they destroy you. You get really
They
far.
do. It is, honestly, at the end of the day, we have one thing that we can control in this world. There's only one thing we can control in this world, and that's ourselves. Everything outside of that is none of our business, and I don't know why people don't receive that, because at the end of the day, if a lot of people just were mindful of themselves and realize that, we can do so much better, and be so much better and want so much better for ourselves. That's why I'm loving me, and I've been loving me for the last couple years. It's only been a couple years for me, but I'm loving me, and I'm doing it correctly, and I'm finally not worried about who it affects in any way, because my intent is pure and genuine. And if you find me taking my life and loving my life personal, then the problem lies with you, not me. That's all I feel. Jewsby, what do you think? I mean, I don't know if you had I feel, this is how I feel, that you don't have a whole bunch of a healing of your inner child that you had to do. Do you feel though that, your parents did, or that how people around you do?
Um, yeah, I would say so. There's a lot of demons we deal with, and everybody's fighting a battle. So, I've witnessed my parents go through certain things. Um, I tried to step in, and I tried to be of assistance, but sometimes you have to put these problems in God's hands. Um, we're only mortal, so there's not much you can do, outside of what you strive to do and what you strive to become. So, um, just dealing with these things on a daily basis, and seeing how people cope, or what people turn to, when they're going through things. It kind of propelled me to be more self-aware, and to make sure everything in my life was to my liking, and not always accepting the social norm, or whatever it is that people buy into, in order to counteract some of these effects or some of these emotions. um it's really all on us, though. Me myself, I haven't dealt with too much turmoil in my life, but I've had my fair share of ups and downs. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've done the work, and I've been able to put myself in a more stable mental state, and a more happy place of being, simply because I took that matter seriously. A lot of times we don't take these things seriously. We
Facts.
fall into the motion of these things, and they become so familiar that you're not even conscious as to how they carry on, or what it is you have to do in order to stop the bleeding. But like I said, it's a process. It's nothing that you can tackle in one whop, and definitely need the support of the people that are around you. Because if you don't have that, it just makes things that much harder for you to get over.
I can receive that. I can receive that. And I appreciate about everybody on this panel is that we're all in different thought process about this, how we are as people, and beings, and our inner pieces there, though, yet we all feel differently. Henry's more of the realm, um Jewsby's out of the realm, but yet still of the realm. SGF Graham is beyond the realm. I'm surpassed the realm. I don't like the fake. I know we are people, and I know that we are right now having this human experience. I don't like the fact that a lot of people, use that for a reason to be less than, though. I'm only human, but you're not,
It's
though.
no, it's not a competition either, because suffering is equal despite
It is.
irregardless of personal experience. So Jisby saying he didn't have a very hard life, or a couple of my
No.
friends who had really nice existences, they still say they suffer with certain things. You know, you see people who have it all who try to delete themselves,
And
you're
what
like, why?
And what I was gonna say before you said that, Henry, is that we all have a common denominator. Everybody deals with something. Everybody is growing through a situation, even if it hadn't happened to them directly or indirectly. It had been around them where they were able to, deal with it. That's what I was gonna say too. There's just like belief system. Everybody has one, even if you don't have one. You're having that choice to not have one. You're still picking something. You're still choosing something. So at the end of the day, we all have this common denominator. We all have a common denominator somewhere. But go ahead.
You know, the privileged people, I've seen privileged people, and I try to explain something about, I've not exactly been wealthy my entire existence. You know, I was a very dedicated Kmart kid, and that's okay, because Kmart was the shit, and I had my Shacks, and they were great. That's besides the point. You get people who are like, they get completely detached from empathy and just fuck you, I'm gonna be an asshole. You know, there's these people who go through life and just kind of get the mentality where they're gonna it's just a power imbalance, right? It's a power. They like creating power imbalances. They like being in a position of power. There's also people I've met from a lot of privileged situations who, instead of doing that, they just ask why. I don't understand, you know, inform me. But they completely don't understand certain types of suffering. But there's a fine line between those two types of people, you know, people who are willing to understand and people who just say, fuck you, not my problem, you know. And it's not okay to walk around getting triggered by everything and being an asshole about it, but it's also not really great to go around purposefully triggering people.
You remember that little reel that I saw and I told you about, and it was like those two kids were sitting there in front of the car, and the one kid was saying that the other kid was born with a golden spoon, that he's able to be free from bills and whatnot because he's living off his parents' money, and he don't know what it's like to suffer and because his parents were rich. And he was like, you're mad at me because my parents did what they were supposed to do and allowed me to be able to experience life and not have to struggle and learn how to save and be able to pass that on to my kids. You're mad because that was given to me. And he was like, no, he's like, you think you're better than nobody. He said, I'm not talking to you about any of this. You're accusing me of this. So like the moral of the whole thing was, instead of passing judgment upon and stop mirroring what you feel that the next person is, start looking within yourself and realize maybe the problem still is you. If you're having a problem with your friend being able to experience life off his parents' money and you have to struggle, either change the situation in the narrative or still appreciate that, because it doesn't look like he's your friend. It doesn't look like he's being greedy. Like, he probably would spoil you too if you're a better friend. Because when people go around and they didn't have to struggle, they want to make sure everybody around them doesn't have to struggle most times. That's just my opinion.
We hold on to the past a lot, you know. It took a lot of, let's say, elbow grease to get where we're at in society, which is pretty technologically developed and shit. And there's definitely a subsect of society that says we should keep suffering like we're still working in coal mines. And I don't think that's 100% necessary.
That's their job, though. That's what they're supposed to do to us, to keep us suppressed. That's how society, that's how they're still able to control us, is to keep us that way. That's their plan. What are you going to say, SGF Graham?
Well, adding to what you just said, which fits into a whole nother, that would be a whole nother discussion. When you was talking about adding on Dr. Carl Jung, he says, until the subconscious is made conscious, you will live the rest of your life encountering misfortune and saying it was fate. I say that to say hurt people, in my opinion, while the conversation is going. Hurt people because they wallow in the hurt instead of doing the work. With like, it's really no other way around it. Like if they simply do the work, they won't even have time. Eventually, they won't even have time to even think about what the other person really has going on because they love what they finally have found about themselves. So they really just got to do the work or whatever. They got to trick the subconscious. They really just got to find something that's equally positive, more important as that hurt was, which might be a hard thing. Whatever that hurt was in their life or whatever, not judging nobody's hurt or what they had to deal with, so what I just said might be almost an impossible task. They feel at least.
They feel it.
But if they find something equally positive that matters to them, and they might realize it's not even money. They might envision a view of a top of a mountain and get a tingle in their heart and realize I really need to go hiking right now. I really need to get into nature. That's what's going to help bring me back. Like they'll realize it's not whatever they thought it was, whatever, and that's really what it is or whatever. You just have to do the work. Stop worrying about others and do the work and just watch your life come to life.
And that's true. That's so true.
It's important because, you get stuck in patterns of shit that doesn't feel good. And if you do it enough, you start telling yourself it feels good. Like I bite my nails, but I used to really bite my nails so they would like bleed and hurt all the time. And I'd sit there and like, yeah, it's a form of self-harm. And it's crazy. You can go through your whole life like totally high or drunk or something and not realize how good it feels to be sober because you never tried it. You're just so deep in the pain that feels good.
And I got something to say before we get too far though, Jasmine. You're right. It is. You're really mad at your parents because you think that I'm better than you. And that's what it is too. That's when they're mirroring something within themselves. A lot of people reflect. So instead of dealing with it, they rather reflect and say, well, this is why I'm hurting. And that ain't even the reason why you're hurting. That ain't even it. But that's what you want to use for that crutch or that thing because it makes you feel better. Fear, afraid of change. A piece of you has to die in order a piece of you has to be born. And a lot of people don't want to let go of that, what they thought was supposed to be for them, what they thought that their life is supposed to be like. They have this ideal in their head, and hurt people by choice though. If you say that you don't have the tools and that you don't know how to do better, learn, because you can fake it till you make it. And that's the truth. That's a true statement. Fake it till you make it. I faked loving myself every single day until I learned how to love myself. I faked positivity every day. Even though I woke up sore and I had to go punch that clock, I had to do this, had to do that, I told myself great things about me until I was able to convince myself all the great things about me. Because if we repeat something 3 times, it becomes a habit. So if we tell ourselves 3 times that we are broken, then we're going to feel, our subconscious is going to think we're broken. And then we're going to have that broken mindset. If we feel we're damaged, we're going to keep telling ourselves we're damaged and that we can't heal. We don't know how. Poor me, poor me. That's that victim mentality. So fake it till you make it serious, though. Because eventually it becomes natural. And you don't know no other way because it becomes habit forming. You just do it.
Well, the
So
hurting,
it may not be easy at all, but you can at least try. A trying man is better than a trying man is better than a man that doesn't care. Go ahead.
That's important because you said it It's a choice. And I think it can become a choice. I
It
think
always
that's
is a
important.
choice.
I don't think certain people realize they do what they're doing because the subconscious is really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's why I think the collective mental health thing is important
Mm-hmm.
because, like I said, you can go through your whole life not realizing you're hurting people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your brain can get totally conditioned in doing that. But it's when you figure out that you're doing that and then you completely ignore people that it becomes a choice, and then it becomes deliberate. And that's bad when you're living in that kind of way deliberately. But I think it's important for a lot of people to expose the things and talk about these things because a lot of people don't know they're doing it, don't know they're even a victim. They're not living in a victim mentality. And then when their eyes get open, they're like, holy shit. And then you tell them it's okay. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to make mistakes. You know, it doesn't make you a bad person. You haven't dug yourself down so far, like I said earlier, that you've done something irrevocably wrong, then you're all right. Even if you're an asshole, you can turn around.
I
It
don't
makes
think
you
there's
cool.
anything that's irrevocably wrong, honestly. Because I said this to somebody the other day. I say, I'm not saying you're wrong, and I'm not saying I'm right. I'm saying who created that boundary, who created that bottom line, and saying that this is how it has to be. Who put that standard in there saying that this is how it has to be? Who's really judging us? Here, right now, with your agreements that you told upon yourself, your belief system that you were raised with. Who's saying that that's actually accurate? You. You are. We allow what we accept. You don't like it, stop allowing it. Stop accepting it. Do
You,
better. Everybody can do better, even if it's a little teeny bit. Any motion forward is a better motion than none.
I think we might differ on irrevocably wrong sometimes, but
That's okay.
it's
But
important. It's important to examine things, no matter how bad a situation looks. Examine it.
there's my mom. This is what my mom said. This is my mom by the universe, by my heart, by my soul. This is not the birth lady that gave birth to me. This is my mom. My mom said, what, Henry?
We judge ourselves.
Every single day. Every single day. I tell everybody they need to go get the book, The Four Agreements. You want to talk about something that's a good read, go read The Four Agreements. And maybe you can heal yourself a little bit. Because just because someone else said that's wrong doesn't mean it really truly is wrong. There's not somebody right here putting like smiting us saying that, you're gonna go to hell right now because what you're doing is wrong. We are judging ourselves every
We
single
judge
day,
others too.
constantly, and not all of us. If you don't stop,
Well, you got to make some judgment calls on people. I think judgment is a thing that's misconstrued. I think you can have certain judgments about people because it protects you to a certain degree. You can have reservations, you can have thoughts about them, but it's what you do with that information afterwards, really, to the fact. If you treat people like shit because of it, if you slander them, not necessarily a good thing, now is it? But let's say this person's really scary. I'm making a judgment call that I don't want to get knifed to death by inviting them into my house. You've probably made a good judgment call. So there's healthy judgment on yourself and others to a degree, I believe.
Yeah, I judge.
We all
and
judge.
and you
I'm
can,
like,
and you can, because there's nothing wrong with it. No one's telling you you're wrong for it. Nobody's telling you you're wrong for it. Every single day where you pick and choose what you're going to eat and where you pick and choose who you're going to sit next to, when you pick and choose who you're going to talk to, there's nothing wrong with that. Yes, discernment with self-preservation. Exactly. And everybody does in one way or one form or another. And it's sad though. It's sad though, because a lot of people misjudge. A lot of people are judged by their situations or circumstance. A lot of people are judged by unfair things. Just my opinion. Unfair things.
and I'm okay
It
with that.
happens.
Like,
Everything happens for a reason.
It just wasn't my time to have whatever conversation that might have popped up. I don't take no feelings to it. I used to, but
Yeah,
lately, I go. That's breath I don't have to waste.
exactly. You know, and I believe we meet the people in our lives for a reason. It's either for the season, you know what I'm saying, or something. It's a blessing or lesson. Either way, there's a reason though that we meet those individuals. So I take that knowledge that I'm supposed to receive from them and may utilize it one day. Then again, it may just go in one ear out the other, but at the end of the day, I still will take it and receive it for a second because there's no wasted. Nobody did something wastedly. We heard what we heard today for a reason. We saw what we saw today for a reason. That person didn't speak to us for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. A lot
I
of
got
people want to know.
trustworthy
A lot of people want to know
intuition.
why. A lot of people want to know why. Why? I said to my friend one day, I said, because you don't have something tangible to believe in. So you are doubting everything because it's not tangible. I can't make sense of
Why?
that.
Why is a good question, though, isn't it?
No, I don't ask why.
You don't think so?
No, no.
I think it's a wonderful question.
And you're allowed to. And I don't think how you feel is wrong.
I think it's part of being human. Why is a very human concept.
And that's okay. At the end of the day, like I said, I don't choose to be human by choice. But I don't think you're wrong for being. I can receive that you feel that way. And I love you for you thinking that way.
I might not be human, but I'm driving the automobile, right?
Yep.
That's the automobile that I'm driving around. Now, I'd be stupid not to use every feature it came with.
No, and I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you at all.
If we didn't have why, we would, I don't know, we wouldn't
What?
be what we are.
What? I don't ask why.
Why not?
Because why would I? It's not my place. This was written out beforehand. I knew about this before I even came here. I signed up for this. What of me knowing why going to change any circumstances of it happening?
Well,
I'm
what are
Because
you
why
grateful.
has
using?
been
What are you
important.
asking why about?
Anything.
Like people or
No, just anything in general. I don't ever ask why.
how do you learn from it?
I grow through it.
How do you make sure it don't ever happen again?
I look at the situation and I analogize it and I educate myself on it and I say insanity, doing the exact same thing, wanting a different outcome, but I got to stop doing the exact same thing then.
But analyzing is asking why.
Not really.
It is.
A
It's
breakdown
the
doesn't mean asking
question
why.
before the question before the answer. Your brain subjugated it in a breakdown to get to the answer, which was a
It's a
why at the beginning.
it's a reason, cause, and effect, yes. But I'm not asking why it happened.
Perhaps you're not searching for answers. You want to learn as they go.
There is reasons, cause, and effect, because everything happens for a reason. But to ask why all the time, what's that getting you?
Answers.
What's it going to make a difference on?
See,
Like, I,
so you don't even ask yourself why.
Mm-mm. I knew why I did a lot of things I did.
What
Until I did.
about why the things that happened to you? There was nothing that happened to you that didn't
I had
have a
to.
rhyme or reason.
I had to learn it all. It was all for a lesson to learn. Everything in life is a lesson to learn.
you can't always ask why. If you don't ask why, your subconscious mind will ask for you. Why is important to being as seeing or anything else. You know, if you see something, there's signals going through your head that are just asking why subconsciously beyond your understanding.
I can do shadow work and break it down and find out this is why this happened within myself
But
without asking why.
But it was still a why.
But I didn't ask why.
But you searched for it.
I searched for a reason. but I didn't search for the why. If I do this, because I know everything happens for a reason. Every single thing. You can't say an action without getting a reaction. There's no such thing. What goes up must come down. The why is the lesson, yeah. And I don't ask it.
I get where you're coming from. You're trying to detach yourself from what makes from the human aspects of you. And if it makes you feel better.
I'm not trying to detach myself from it at the end of the day. I know that my belief system is that we signed up for this. And everybody in my life and everything that happened to me was a reason for it. So I could be who I am. Because what you're supposed to do, this is my belief system only. And this is my agreements. It doesn't have to be somebody else's. Is that our job is to find ourselves within ourselves to free ourselves from ourselves. To go back to source. And that's my opinion. That's my belief system. I'm not passing that and pushing it upon for somebody else to agree with that or to believe in that. I don't ask why. When that person tried killing me in front of my grandchild, I knew why. I had no business messing with that person in the first place. I didn't ask why this happened to me. I'm grateful every single thing happened to me in my life so I can be who I am today. Because if it didn't, I wouldn't be me. And I love me some me. Once I really, truly started loving me, I stopped asking why.
I guess I'm just on the other end of the spectrum. I spent most of my life not asking why and just accepting things as they came. But what I was accepting was just numbness for a lot of the time. And it wasn't until I could actually free myself, until I could understand the principle of why these things were happening to me. So different paths. Different paths.
And it's just different ways of seeing it too. And that's what I love about this show, is that it's different people's perception, different people's opinions, and everyone is equally right. There's not a wrong answer. You are not wrong. And I am not right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay with that. Because we all have our own purpose and we all have our own journey. Everybody, even though we're all one and all connected, we all deal with situations differently. I was always the kid that raised my hand my whole entire life. Wanted to know how stuff worked. I took everything apart. You can ask my mom. I took everything apart because I wanted to see how it worked. Always. Always. And as I started realizing that maybe me asking why was the reason, and then once I start learning from that, I didn't no longer had to ask why, because I knew that it would show itself eventually. I didn't have to ask. Everything shows itself. Nothing stays hidden.
I most certainly think there's something to be said by the way you view this.
I'm sure.
And like you said, there's no right or wrong answer.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta jump in. I gotta say, Jasmine said the why is the answer.
Mm-hmm.
But anybody can digest that, and
that's what I said.
Fair.
The why is the answer.
No,
but it's a lesson, though. It's a lesson, though. She said
the
that.
Lesson. Yeah, that's what she said.
Lesson, though, and that is the lesson, because every action's a reaction.
Right.
If I don't,
if you didn't ask why gravity worked, then you'd be squished.
I don't like. Not necessarily, because it's still going to work whether I ask or not. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Me asking is not going to make it work. Matter only exists when you give it attention. Matter only exists when you give it attention. A lot of things don't have to exist. They don't have to have that matter. You say there's a war going on everywhere around me. I don't see it. You can't convince me. I'm saying in general. I'm not saying you per se. For real, you. I'm just saying in general. I'm using you just for the fact of this is a conversation. I don't have to see it. If it's not in my world, I don't have to see it. And that's my choice. That's perception. Mm-hmm. Everybody has a different reality. Matter only exists when we give it attention. We are only speaking to each other right now because we're on the same frequency. Because if we weren't, we wouldn't be talking to each other. I wouldn't know none of you guys.
It's been an interesting one. I got to put in Jasmine's last comment too here. This has been such a fulfilling discussion, but I need to be up in a few hours. Good night. Good people. I love what you're doing here. Thank you, love.
I love you, Love Bug. From the bottom of my soul, I love you. Dope artist, SGF Graham. Dope artist, Jasmine Gray is a dope artist. Jewsby already knows he's hip. Dope artist. If y'all don't know, you better know, because that is a dope soul right there. A dope soul. Not just an artist, though. Producer, all that. All that. Engineer, all that. Dope soul. A lot of revenue, a lot of avenues, a lot of connections. Dope individual to know. So, hurt people do hurt people, though. And that's just how it goes. You have to have the good with the bad. It's the polarity. It's the duality. And, it's just it. It's that balance, that yin and yang. You got to have one without. You can't have one without the other. It's just how it flows. What we choose to do with it, though, and how we choose to allow it to affect us, that kind of is a choice. Whether you like to see it or not. Because even in our subconscious, we told ourselves something in our head. If we told ourselves we're in love with this individual for so long, that even when that individual done the worst thing to us, the dirtiest thing to us, we still allowed that to happen to us because we told our minds that we were in love with that person. We didn't see them for who they were. We saw them for what our mind saw of them. So, that's just my opinion, though. I'm not saying I'm right. That's just how I receive it. Sorry, Henry, we're going to wrap this one up. So, give us something to go off of.
Okay. You might not know it right away, but if you start paying attention to these things, you might end up knowing it. Listen to people, read people like Carl Jung, like you had mentioned. SGF Grant, I can't see the name, so I haven't got a chance to repeat your name 3 times, and I'm terrible.
Graham. Like a Graham.
Okay, I was on. All right, good. Yes, pay attention to people like that. Read Freud if you want. Just read them first and then read a few things afterward. Once you recognize some of these things, you'll get to a plateau where you realize that the way you react to them it can be a choice, and it can be a choice that can be acted on. And freedom from those bonds of your subconscious is a new kind of happiness. Being in control will get you higher than any drug or drink there really is. It's just wonderful. I'll leave you with that.
You just dropped some jewels. Go ahead, SGF Graham. We go next to each other. Leave it with some jewels.
Mind and matter is one, not mind over matter.
Ooh.
Take this shit to the bank.
Jewsby, we know about our mental, keeping that clean. Come on now, give us that knowledge.
For sure. Most definitely keep your mental house clean. Make sure it's tidy. Prioritize your life in ways that other people can't. Love yourself in ways other people can't. And don't be afraid to put yourself first.
Facts. I want to say something before I end it with my knowledge. I want to say SGF Graham, that's a spiritual man, and talks about in his music, Jewsby, in his music, he's just like you.
Okay.
He's on the same level as you with his music. You need to write something with him together. You two need to do something together for real. I'm telling you, it's going to be a very, I don't want to say hot because it's not. It's going to be a very out of this world track, and it's going to get a lot of people thinking. And you guys could drop some knowledge for real.
I'm gonna link up with him for sure.
Yeah. Please do. All right. So I want to say this though. I want to say, there's no right and there's no wrong way to do anything. At the end of the day, you just got to remember that it's your life, and however you see it and however you want to walk that path of, that's your choice, and you can choose it to do it respectfully and mindfully, or disruptfully and loud. It's your choice though, and you may not, like Henry said, you may not realize it's a choice, but our mind don't own us, we own our mind. It's a tool. Start utilizing our tools that were given to us, and stop allowing them to use us, because they don't own us. They don't own us. Free yourself. Free yourself from the agreements that other people put upon you. Free yourself from the bounds and the chains of belief systems that was pushed upon you. Free yourself from everything that is not of you anymore. What was that last comment, Henry?
Oh, we got one. Sean Rowley. We all perpetuate the cycle until we choose to break it. You're damn straight, Sean.
And that was, and on that note, that's how I'm going to leave it, because it is a choice. You may not realize it. You may feel like your back is against a wall and that so many circumstances are against you, and you cannot see that you have the power and the control to make the change until you decide to make the change. May your night be full of positive energy and high vibrations. Peace and love. We are the People's Podcast. I love you all. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for joining us with your time, because it matters, and so does your opinion. Ashe, everyone.
It's supposed to be a heart.
Let's get to the bottom of this one. Unspoken truths that I miss one. Tap into the minds of the people. Rather acknowledge before I dismiss one. Atheists, Muslim, Christians, Buddhists, they all got usage. All got perspective. It's a collective. Get to the bottom of the truth is. With our hearts uncovered. Where you detox from all of the lies you smothered. When I'm trying to kill you. But with faith you recover. Yup. Peel off the makeup, we finna take off. Never said it'd be a cakewalk. Meditate till we charged up. Execute goes regardless. Decalcify my pineal. Breaking language barriers, we saw millennials. Planets passing age rotations, down mean we owe. So down mean we know. Sometimes we can be slow, that's why my ears open. Every drop you add could complete the ocean. Speak up, play your part too. Been vulnerable, it's so